Welcome to FemMist, where hidden secrets and broken bonds come to light.
I kicked my brother and nephew out of my house after my nephew hid my daughter's life-saving allergy medication during one of her attacks. My brother is 42.
His son is 17. They had been living with me for a few months. He lost his job and his apartment at the same time. I let them move in because that is what family is supposed to do.
I have always been the stable one.
Whenever something goes wrong, people end up at my door. My daughter is 14. She has a severe peanut allergy. We have been to the hospital many times. This is not a joke.
She carries her EpiPen everywhere. Her school knows.
Her friends know.
Everyone around her knows.
I raised her to be careful.
She does not eat unless she is 100% sure it is safe.
She checks every label. She always carries her EpiPen. This is life or death. Last week it happened.
I cooked dinner at home.
Nothing with peanuts. I checked everything.
Still, my daughter reacted. She must have eaten something with traces.
It happened fast.
Hives.
Swelling. Throat closing. Anyone who has seen anaphylaxis knows how fast it becomes deadly. She reached for her EpiPen. It was not in her backpack. She gasped for air.
I searched everywhere. Then my brother yelled at his son. My nephew stood there. He had a grin on his
face.
His hands in his hoodie.
My brother shouted again.
Then he pulled it out. He had taken her EpiPen. He had hidden it. My rage was instant. My daughter was seconds away from collapse.
He stood there smiling, holding the one thing that could
save her.
I ripped it from his hand.
I used it on my daughter.
She started breathing again. I lost control. I screamed at him. I told him he could have killed her. I told my brother to take his son and get out of my sight. My nephew said it was just a joke, but his face showed fear when he realized what he
had done.
My brother tried to defend him.
He said his son did not mean it. He said it was not serious.
I told him that was nonsense.
You do not hide life-saving medication as a prank.
That is not funny. That is cruel. When my daughter was stable, I packed their things. I told them they were leaving. I did not care it was night. I did not care they had nowhere to go. My brother begged me. I did not listen.
His son nearly killed my child. That is a line you never cross. My phone has not stopped ringing.
My brother tells people I kicked them out over nothing. Some relatives call me cruel. They say I should have punished the boy without throwing them out.
Others say I overreacted.
But I cannot forget my daughter grabbing her throat while her cousin
smirked. If I had not acted, we would be planning a funeral. I do not regret kicking them out.
Not one bit.
I regret letting them stay in the first place. My daughter is traumatized.
She checks her backpack again and again.
She is afraid her EpiPen will be gone.
On her first day back at school, she barely touched her food. She asked me if her cousin wanted her dead. She is 14.
She should not have to think like that.
That is what makes me furious. Not just the
allergic attack itself,
but the way it now lives in her mind. Then things got even worse.
A cousin from another side of the family sent me screenshots from Snapchat. My nephew had been bragging about what he did.
He posted something like,
"Lol, she is exaggerating that she almost died because I stole her pen."
He added laughing emojis.
His friends commented supporting him. They called my daughter pathetic.
Some even said survival of the fittest. I almost grew up when I read it. This
was not a dumb teenager making a mistake.
This was him thinking it was funny that he pushed her to the edge of death.
I sent those screenshots directly to my brother. He tried to minimize it again.
He said, boys post stupid things for attention.
He said his son did not mean it. I told him if his son thinks attention is worth more than my daughter's life, then he has problems much bigger than being homeless. After that, he stopped replying. I also shared the screenshots in the family group. Everyone had been saying I exaggerated. Some relatives went silent after seeing the proof. Others doubled down.
They said, he is just a stupid kid. Do not ruin
his life for a mistake. One relative even called me heartless for sharing his private social media.
As if the real problem was me exposing his bragging, not him boasting about nearly killing his cousin. At this point, I was done arguing with anyone who excused him. I told them, if you think a 17-year-old hiding life-saving medication during an attack is just a mistake, do not bother contacting me again. My daughter's safety is not negotiable. I do not care if you think I am dramatic or cold. If you feel sorry for him, then let him live with you. By the way, not a single one of them did. They all talk about how cruel I was to throw them out, but not one person has opened their home to them. My daughter also saw the screenshots. They were already being shared at school. To me, the screenshots made it clear. This was not carelessness. This was not him failing to realize how serious it was. He knew exactly what he was doing. He thought it was funny. He risked my daughter's life and then bragged about it online. There is no going back from that. I do not care that he is 17. I do not care that he is technically still a boy. He is old enough to know what an EpiPen is. Old enough to know why someone needs it. Old enough to drive. Old enough to work. Old enough to know the difference between life and death. He knew, and he did not care. So yes. Now, my brother is furious at me for ruining his son's reputation by sharing the screenshots. He says I made it worse. I told him his son did that to himself. If my brother thinks it was harsh that I kicked them out at night, we will see how he feels when I file a police report against his son. If he cannot see how serious this is, then maybe the police can. Update 2. My brother decided to go on the offensive. He has been telling everyone, and I mean everyone, that I abandoned a teenager on the street. He says I chose my pride over family. He is on Facebook. He is in WhatsApp family groups.
He twisted the story completely.
According to him, my daughter only had a mild reaction.
He says I exaggerated to get rid of him and his son. He even claims I told my daughter to fake her symptoms. His exact words were, she encouraged her daughter to exaggerate her allergy to get pity. I do not even know how he can say that with a straight face.
He was there.
He saw her choking. He saw her swelling up.
The worst part is he even managed to rile up strangers online.
I received emails at my job from people I do not even know.
They called me heartless. They said I should be ashamed for kicking a child out.
Someone even tagged my company on Facebook. Thankfully, my boss knows me well.
He called me privately. When I showed him the screenshots of my nephew bragging, he said,
"Forget it.
"You are fine." But for a few days, I was terrified this nonsense could affect my job. And when I say nonsense, I do not mean the situation itself.
I mean my brother. Meanwhile, my brother and nephew found a couch at another relative's
house. That lasted less than 2 weeks. They were kicked out.
I heard my nephew was stealing money from wallets.
My brother pretended not to notice.
They burned their bridge fast. Now they bounce from place to place,
sometimes even staying in motels.
That is not my problem. I gave them a home when no one else did. And this is how they repaid me. What truly makes my blood boil is that my nephew has not let it go.
He started sending direct messages to my daughter on Instagram.
He called her weak. He wrote things like, "I bet you faked joking for attention."
He even sent one message with only a syringe emoji and laughing faces. She blocked him right away.
But not before.
Showing me.
She was shaking when she handed me the phone.
She asked me why he hates her so much. I had no answer. I have no idea.
I do not understand how one person can hate another so much when nothing was ever done to them. I do not understand how a cousin can hate his own cousin.
They are family.
My daughter already lives with the fear of her allergy. Now she also has to deal with being harassed by her own cousin. I saved every screenshot and sent them to the family group. I told them this is not a fight.
This is not a disagreement.
My daughter is being harassed by someone who almost killed her. If they still defend him after this, then they are dead to me too.
Some went silent. One uncle finally spoke up. He told everyone to stop excusing behavior that could have killed a child. I thanked him. But of course, my brother exploded at him and accused him of believing my lies. My daughter is still dealing with the consequences. She has barely slept.
She only trusts me now.
She is paranoid about eating anywhere outside the house. She asked me if her cousin will show up at school to hurt her.
I already contacted her school counselor and explained what is happening.
They promised to keep watch, but the fact that my daughter even has to worry about that makes me sick. We filed a police report with the screenshots where my nephew basically
admits what he did.
I know he thinks this is all a joke. He thinks nothing will happen, but the evidence is there.
If this sends him to juvenile detention, then that is his fault. And my brother's fault too. I have started looking into a restraining
order. Some will say I am extreme, but what he has been doing is extreme too.
He is not a little boy.
He is 17.
He knew what an EpiPen was for.
He knew my daughter could die without it. He thought it was funny. He can laugh again when the police
come for him. Let us see how funny it is then. Let us see how many posts he makes.
If the law can put something in place to keep him away from my daughter, then I will do it. As soon as my brother heard about it, he filled my voicemail. The same excuses.
You are ruining his life.
He is only a boy.
You will regret this when you
calm down.
I do not regret kicking him out. I do not regret anything except ever letting him stay.
I do not regret legal consequences. Not at all. My brother could have done something decent.
He could have apologized. He could have disciplined his son.
Instead, he acts worse than a teenager.
So he will suffer the consequences too. It's like he thinks the same way his son does. That everything is a joke. That everything is excused if it makes people laugh. Well, I am not laughing.
I am not playing.
In my eyes, my brother raised a bully who thinks other people's lives are entertainment. That is his fault.
Not mine.
Not my daughter's.
Not anyone else's.
If they wanted a safe place to live, maybe they should not have played games with the people who gave it to them. SOS. Right now, my brother is crying online trying to make me the villain. My nephew continues to harass my daughter even after almost killing her.
The family is in chaos.
I am exhausted.
But I am not backing down. Update 3.
About 2 weeks ago, my daughter had another reaction at school. Luckily, it was not as bad as the first one, but she still had swelling and trouble breathing. The school nurse gave her the EpiPen and called me. She was okay, but shaken again. At first, I thought it was cross-contamination in the cafeteria. Then I heard from some kids that my nephew had been bragging. He told a couple of people that he once switched her lunch to teach her a lesson. Whether that is true this time or not, I no longer care. The fact that he even claims it as if it is some prize makes me sick. When I picked her up, she was pale. She was shaking. She was crying. She kept saying she does not feel safe anywhere. Not even with the food she makes for herself. That broke me. I had been holding everything together for her, but hearing my daughter say she cannot even trust her own lunch destroyed me. I went straight to see my brother. I told him what I heard. I told him what his son had been saying. It took me a while to find him, but I was furious. As always, he acted clueless. He said his son would never do that. He said kids exaggerate. Meanwhile, his son was standing right there, smirking, not scared, not sorry, just smiling like it was all a joke. I lost my patience. I walked straight up to my nephew and slapped him across the face.
The smile vanished instantly. Some would say I am violent. I do not care. It was long overdue. It was what someone should have done the day of the incident.
This boy lives as if he plays by different rules. Well, someone had to show him otherwise. My
Brother screamed at me.
He said I had no right to put a hand on his son. He said he would sue me. Update 4: He told my brother that his son could face serious legal consequences and that I would also file for harassment. At first, I had not done it, but I started working with a lawyer. My complaint did not bring immediate results. They said that since he is still a minor, it would be classified mostly as harassment and a safety issue.
But they opened a record. I do not know what will happen in court.
But at least that file allows me to request a restraining order against his son. As for his threats to sue me, I do not care. I can handle that.
What matters is that the arrogant boy stops tormenting my daughter. I will not sit back and wait for the system to maybe act.
My nephew does not go to the same school as my daughter.
Thank God for that. But he was suspended anyway. My brother also lost his small part-time job. Someone in the family told his boss about the whole situation. He blames me for that, even though I had nothing to do with it. My daughter is now in
therapy. She cannot sleep.
She lives in constant anxiety about food.
I fear she will develop a disorder.
In truth, it already started. She eats most of her meals in the nurse's office. It hurts me to see her like that.
But at least she feels safer there. At least someone nearby can save her life if she needs it. Our lawsuit will also include the psychological harm caused by my nephew. I am exhausted,
but I keep going because
I am defending my daughter. I feel guilty for letting my brother and nephew into my home when they had nowhere to go. I gave them food. I gave them shelter. I gave them everything. In return, they almost killed my daughter. Then they mocked her. That betrayal lit something inside me.
I will fight no matter what.
They were once my family. Now they will face the consequences. Update 4.
At first, the police report did not bring much. He is still underage.
But it was not useless.
They placed it on his record. The school took it seriously.
They added notes to his file.
He was suspended.
After that, they warned him that he was on thin ice.
Any more harassment or dangerous behavior would follow him to another school. Even into university, my brother did not accept that.
He was furious that I had involved the police in what he calls family matters.
He has not spoken to me since, except for some ugly messages here and there. He told everyone that I ruined his life and the future of his son, as if it was not his own son's fault. They were later kicked out of the next place they stayed.
My nephew stole money from another boy in the house.
Since then, they have bounced from place to place.
The last I heard, they moved to another city with distant relatives from my brother's ex. Nobody knows the details. They keep quiet now, which is fine by me. They cannot leave the state easily, so they are only a few hundred kilometers away. My daughter is what matters. She is in therapy and it is helping.
It is not easy.
That is normal after nearly dying and then being harassed. She often does not feel safe.
That makes me furious. A teenager should not live that way. She is only now starting to regain confidence. It is slow, but it is progress. The legal process is another story.
My nephew is 17.
In some cases, he can be tried as an adult. That is being considered. Official charges have not yet been filed.
The investigation continues, but at least something is moving. We now also have a date for a hearing with the judge.
This is for my lawsuit against him and his father.
For what he did, for the harassment,
for the damage to my daughter's mind. There will be no settlement. That much is clear.
This will end. In court. It feels like it will never end.
There is still a long road. We do not even know yet if my nephew will face criminal charges.
But I remain hopeful.
At least the distance has brought some calm, but it is far from enough.
I will keep updating whenever there is something important to share about this story.
Update 5.
Slowly, this is starting to feel like justice. For the first time, it seems like we are moving forward instead of just being victims and enduring
the pain.
My nephew is now facing criminal charges. They include assault, endangering my daughter's life, and even attempted murder.
We do not know how many of those charges will stand during trial, but just the thought of him sitting in front of a judge will make him think twice before ever mocking anyone again. The charges for assault and endangering her life are the strongest.
The attempted murder charge is weaker because it is hard to prove.
The prosecutor told us that to sustain it, they need to show that he put something in her food to trigger her allergy and then hid the EpiPen to cause her death.
Sadly, we have no direct proof because he never admitted it.
Maybe he did it, maybe he did not. But it is difficult to prove. My brother has not spoken to me about this case.
He is no longer sending messages to anyone either. We have a restraining order against his son, and I suspect his lawyer told him to stop making things worse.
The civil lawsuit we filed already brought results. A judge reviewed the evidence of what my nephew did. The bullying, the mocking posts, everything. The ruling
forced him to pay damages.
Over $40,000. Since they do not have that money, they are allowed to pay in installments. So far, they have only made the payments.
I have no idea if my brother found another job. My nephew has not gone back to school. Right now, all we can do is wait for them.
Criminal trial. He has already turned 18. But since the crime happened when he was still a minor, the process is complicated.
Technically, it is a juvenile case, but because of his current age, the procedures resemble an adult trial.
The prosecutor explained it, but it still feels confusing.
All I care about is that there are consequences.
That is what matters.
We already.
One on the civil side. But the criminal case will send a stronger message. People like my nephew and my brother need to understand that what they did cannot be ignored. Update 6. Last Friday, the verdict was read. I waited until Sunday morning to write this update because I needed time to let everything sink in. The trial lasted only a week, but it was exhausting. I testified. My daughter also testified though because
she is a minor. She did it in a different way and not directly in front of the judge. The result. My nephew received 3 years in prison.
That will give him time to reflect on what he did. My brother is not going to prison, but he will live with the knowledge that he raised a criminal. My daughter did not want to be present for the verdict.
And I did not force her.
She did not deserve to sit in the same room as her cousin.
I went with some relatives who supported me. I cried when the sentence was read.
We have endured so much. My daughter is doing better now.
Not because of the verdict,
but because of months of therapy and support.
She has not had another allergic attack. Her anxiety about food has lessened. She still takes care of herself, but no longer in the obsessive way she once did. That alone is a huge relief. I am happy that this will be my last post. I believe the story has reached its ending, and it is a good ending for us.
Not one where my nephew and my brother escaped without consequences. My brother may not face prison, but he lost his son, and most people have turned their backs on him.
That is punishment enough. First, this is justice.
My daughter finally has peace. That is all that matters. Final note. About the slap I gave my nephew. No charges were ever filed.
I do not know why, and I do not care. If they had made me pick up trash on the side of the road for weeks as punishment, I would have done it gladly.
I do not regret it. Not for a second.